Hey everyone, it's David here. Welcome to this Thursday morning video. I have two messages that are very similar. I'm going to tackle one this morning, and then I'm going to tackle another one on how I was recently able to help somebody in their surplus funds business. Here's a message I'd like to look at. And this reads, Hey David, I want to get started in surplus funds and I love what you are doing. I'm a full-time teacher. I have a busy schedule and sit down to do surplus funds and never get anything done. What would you suggest? I sit down for 4 hours at a time and try to get everything done, ended up getting nothing done or nothing accomplished. You would think that in 4 hours I would get deals. However, I don't get anything done. I have my degree, teach, and I'm looking for a successful side hustle. Please advise. A lot is being said here, but if I'm reading the common denominator, they're saying that they're getting nothing done in their business. And this is important. So let's go ahead and look at this. I was thinking about this and the best route to go and help this person out. And here's what I would suggest. I would suggest three common things. I'm going to break these down, and this is going to be a different video than what I planned. And there's someone who also commented on my YouTube yesterday, and I asked him to watch this morning's video because I knew I was talking about this one on Thursday, April 25th. And this is how I've helped this person out. Number one is you've got to be able to focus. So if I sit down and say, I'm going to accomplish 4 hours of surplus funds, I'm probably going to get nothing done. But if I sit down and watch videos, know what I need accomplished in surplus funds, and write that out and then dissect each one. Let's go and look at today, Thursday. During the 4 hours, do I have my list? If not, maybe I need to find my list. And I have plenty of videos on how to find lists, how to find deals, and where to go. Maybe I'm going to California. Maybe I'm looking at their list. Maybe I'm going to Mississippi. Maybe I'm making contacts and I'm writing this out like I want to do state funds. Or maybe you're working mortgage or tax overages. What you want to do is be able to go in and find your list. And that might mean that you're making calls to different states. And I give training on this on an early video. So if you don't have that, go back and get this. But what you're doing is you're going and you're finding a state and you're finding your list and you're achieving your list that you want to be able to work. That might be your first step. And that would be an accomplishment. Check that one off. But sitting down for 4 hours and saying, okay, I'm going to get surplus funds done. What are you going to get done in that 4 hours? Or any side hustle. This applies to anything. I'm obviously using surplus funds because that's my niche. That's what I do. The second one under focus, I would say, is be specific, which I hit on that with what I just previously said. So your first one is finding the list. Then you're going to skip trace. You're going to try to find people and locate people. Now, a lot of fear comes in this because a lot of people have a hard time emailing, mailing, or cold calling people. And in 2014, I could not cold call someone and let them know that they had unclaimed funds. And I had to really sit down and say, okay, why am I not able to call someone? Why am I not able to let them know that they have unclaimed funds? And what it came down to was I was afraid people were going to think I was a fraud. So how did I conquer that fear? Number one is I had a coach, which was really huge, and he helped me with my script, and I'll always be grateful for that. Number two is I had to make that first phone call. And when I got my first yes, it boosted a lot of confidence. And I'm sure many of you have seen my checks and what I've been able to do with surplus funds and in the business. So the first one is getting your list. And then the second one is skip tracing. And that should be prioritizing it. And the third one would be now I'm making contacts with my individuals. Now, if I say I have 4 hours to go ahead and make contacts with people, I'm probably not going to get contacts done. But my last one here is to time block. And in that time block, maybe the first 45 minutes is getting my list, contacting the state, then take a break. And then the second, take a 15-minute break, go get some coffee, stretch out your legs, go do something. Now I'm skip tracing these leads and now I'm ready for contact. And you are pulling the trigger for the first time. This is really exciting. And again, this could apply in any business. Just start off with one and then take your break. So you call someone, you let them know, maybe you leave them a message. Wow, you made a huge accomplishment. You did something that a lot of people can't do. You contacted someone, you let them know that they had unclaimed money or whatever your niche is. And at that point, you've made that one accomplishment. You're probably not going to call 10 people your first day, but could you call one person your first day? Even if you leave a message, take a deep breath, check that off on your accomplishment. Day two, you have your list ready to go. It's ready to be marketed. Now you contact two people, you double it. And day three, maybe you do two people, maybe you do four, and then you build up your marketing. And then you build up your marketing from there, and you learn how to do this, and you're time blocking this, and that's very important in the business. Okay, something else that helps me out a lot is I journal. Every day I try to journal, and one of the things I do when I journal is I journal from the day that happened, and then I start the next day entry, and what do I need to accomplish in this next day, which complements number one. So for an example, maybe on today's journaling, and if I look at some of the accomplishments I made so if I look at my journal and I look at some things that I did that I wanted to accomplish, and this gives me a sense of achievement. It gives me a sense of satisfaction at the end of my day. It pumps me up, and I'll have different areas that I want to. So if I look at my journal, what did I accomplish? Number one is I'm working on a project right now, and I made some great progress on that project that I was able to get down. Number two is for my course, I got some new content in. Number three is I've educated myself on some areas that I'm trying to grow on. And number four is I took my kids down to the park and we went scooter riding. And again, every single day I write out accomplishments that I want to do. And it was really fun because this place we went to has a lot of trails, and my oldest was bike riding, my youngest was scooter riding, and we had fun and we connected. That gives me a sense of accomplishment. Then when I go into Thursday today, I shut off the entry the night before, and what do I need to do today? And I'll write out 3 or 4 things I need to do today. So yours might be, number one is building your list. Number two, so some of the things I talked about with your focus, that can go into your journal, and that should be in an area where you can see it. That goes in an area where you see it, which complements number three. And number three is your work environment, making sure that it's a learning work environment. When I come into the office, if I have a whole bunch of tabs open up on my computer, Facebook is one of them, YouTube, what I'm going to do is start watching shorts. I'm going to start watching videos. I'm going to see who's posting what. Next thing I know, 15 or 20 minutes has gone by, and all I've done is filled up my mind with social media and different junk. And I'm not saying that stuff's not good, but there's a time for that, and it's not when you want to get work done. What you should do is have it when you come in. So maybe you have a Google Calendar, and I put one of these together, and this was an example of what a Google Calendar might look like. So if you look at this, I wake up every morning at 4 a.m. I put 5 a.m. on this one when I did it, and I do my devotion. That's the number one important thing to me. I get into the Bible, I read, and that's my daily bread. That's what I do first thing in the morning. And I try to take that time very seriously. Sometimes I take it more serious than others. I get more into it. Sometimes my mind wanders, and I try to fight that. Now, this might be someone's schedule. Maybe you work 9 to 5, you're a teacher. Maybe it's probably 8 to 3, something different. I put this on. And maybe from 12 to 1, you're focusing on the business. And maybe you have an office hour here. You're going to need to write out your schedule. Maybe you could use Google Calendar and type it up. I like to color code, and you can do this fairly easy. And I do have a whole video on Google Calendar if you need to go through and look at that. But what you could do is you could write out your schedule and be very specific. I know that when I used to teach, one of the things I would try to do is we had what was called the prep period, where we had an hour to run copies, grade papers, call parents, do whatever. What I would often do is go in before work because it was too early to call people, and I would try to get that prep period done before school started. And then during the prep period, I would work my business, and that worked out fairly good. That might be something you could do. Maybe you can right after school, and there was plenty of times I went down to Starbucks. I had my laptop, and I had headset going for my laptop, and I would call people, make phone calls, and do that. And it was actually coffee bean in a very comfortable environment. I would go get my table, sit in the corner, and get work done. And I had a very specific focus that I would work on. A couple questions that I would ask is, what do you want to get accomplished? And if you have 4 hours, that's great. I would write out 45-minute increments. So maybe the first 45 minutes, you need to find out which state you're going to work with, or county, or whatever you're working, and you write that out. And then what do you need to do to accomplish that? So you need to contact the state, you need to get the list, you need to get that accomplished. Bam, you get that done. Then maybe the next 45 minutes is now you're working on your list. Maybe the list, they're going to email it to you, and it's going to take a day or two to get, and you're going to have to follow back up. So you want to come in, maybe work on your script, work on your database and your skip tracing, and just make sure you have everything ready to go. And then on the first day, you're going to be calling. Again, a 45-minute block is going to be a lot for your first day of actually making contact, or maybe you're emailing, maybe you're texting. What I would do is I would go ahead and take a couple deep breaths, get into it, maybe do that for 5 minutes, see how you feel, and then take a couple deep breaths, get back into it, and then build that into your daily routine where you're now doing that for 45 minutes. And journal this at the end of the day, put this in as your accomplishment. So you contacted a state, you were able to get a list. Maybe the first state said, we don't give lists, we don't work with error locators. Okay, you check them off and you call another state, be ready to go. Every single time I've had success, I've always had some sort of resistance that I've had to push through. You might have to call 3 or 4 states. The last thing I want to say on this as I get ready to wrap up this video is one of the most helpful books to me that I've looked at is The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And Covey, on page 149, he talks about time management, which is huge. And I don't feel like I should be preaching time management because it's something that I'm still learning in my personal life. He gives over how to go over time management, and he gives out on page 151, he gives 4 quadrants of time management. He talks about urgent and important, and he talks about non-urgent and not important. And I would really suggest that you read these pages. They're really good. One of the things that I've learned in my life is I can always be busy. I can be answering emails right now. I could be looking at various tasks right now. I could be doing a million different things right now. But what is bringing me income? What's important? And what can I get done that's going to accomplish my day? There's always going to be something that you have to do, especially if you're a teacher. God bless you. We need teachers. You can always be grading papers. You can always be calling extra parents. You can always be doing something. But what's going to be the most effective thing that you're doing teaching? What's the most effective thing that you could be doing that's going to be focused on your business? And be writing that out. What's urgent? What's important? Obviously, driving revenue. What's going to drive revenue? Getting that list, getting the contacts, getting their phone numbers and making those contacts. That's what's number one in your surplus business. I had a few years ago where I was coaching somebody, and this woman has she's been very successful, but she was always perfecting something. And this is when her and I were doing a one-on-one coaching. I made a few phone calls, we got a few leads, and then she was supposed to make phone calls and she wouldn't do it. She kept on saying, well, I want to get my CRM a little bit better. I want to get this list a little bit better. I want to get this done a little bit better before I do this. I want to focus on this. I want to skip trace just a little bit more. So I finally called her on it. I finally said, you know what? You've got fear. She went off on me. She told me off like you would not believe. She ended up getting deals. She's done several. She's been very successful in business, and she came back and acknowledged that I was right. You've got to be able to look at what's most important in your schedule and go from there. Hey, this is a different video, and I've gotten 2 messages like this. I hope this helps, and I hope this helps you with your business. I'll see you on the next video. Thanks for watching.